o'clock. We have the prosecutor scheduled at 2 o'clock. Board of Commissioners are here. Mr. Flory is still here. Mr. Hankey will be here in a moment. And please make your presentation. Thank you. Here's
Good afternoon. I'll pass the two documents off. The one I'd like to go over first is Mike sent us an email regarding showing what our general fund, non-general fund numbers have been since 2007 as far as, and also what our employees, our staffing level has been. If you notice, first of all, the general fund, it shows what it's been 2007, 2011. In your notice, you said to estimate a 23.1% reduction, and you put that figure in there. General fund would be lowered to 2.194. So from 2007, if we do receive a 23.1% reduction, our budget would have taken a $966,000 hit from 2007. The non-general fund is also lower. Now those are grants, as we well know, grants are getting tougher and tougher to get nowadays, and we've gone down slightly there since 2007. The employee level, in 2007 we had 76, so as you can see it's been going down. In 2010 it was 66, and that at the end of the year is when we had to comply with the board's wishes to reduce, I believe, 16% at a time. So we went down to 54 in 2011. We actually laid off, I think, 13 employees. And if you remember, we had we called one back because of the DTAC. We put the one person in DTAC call. We're able to call the one back. So it just reflects 12 there. But we did lay off 13 in 2010. And if we, which we'll get into a little bit more detail, the 23.1% reduction, if you look at the bottom, we're calculating it to come to about $659,304. And we're looking at a reduction in staffing of 12 people. So we'll be down to 42 total staffing there with a 23% cut. What we're looking at, Kent will get into the numbers on the other document we handed out, but I think your notice said how our office would be affected, or what we would do with the 23.1% cut. We're looking at a minimum of 10 and possibly up to 12 assistant prosecutors that will have to be laid off. We cannot lay off any more support staff because we did that in the end of 2010. 2010, it was 13 support staff. We did that because of your direction, asking us to do that, and I think it was we needed to show the public that the county was in dire straits if we didn't get a sales tax passed, and we did it for that. But basically, we are at a bare minimum when it comes to support staff, and we cannot lay off anymore at this time. So now we have to go to the prosecutors. You might ask, well, why can you furlough? No, it's the nature of our office that it makes it very difficult to furlough. First of all, we have to accommodate the courts. They have to be open 5 days a week. I think they have to be open so many days per year. So we have to be there over here in the General Division, Family Court, and also Court of Appeals. So we have to accommodate them. We have to accommodate law enforcement. Law enforcement works 7 days a week, 24/7. And believe me, they call us, call me and my staff on Sunday nights or whenever. They're on call all the time, so they're going to call, and so it's just the nature of the beast that they're going to be wanting to be served and have their questions answered by our office. Also, victims, to get them in, we have to accommodate them. They've been through some bad crimes, and we have to make sure if we have to bring them in the office or go out to see them, it's again 24/7. And also witnesses to prepare for trial. A lot of times we have to meet with them at night or whatever. So it just makes it very difficult to talk about a furlough when we have our office in the many statutory duties that we have. And we looked at it. If we could have done it last year, we would have done that. But it makes it very difficult to try to schedule that. For the layoffs, like I said, minimum 10, maybe 12. We're looking at the 5 courtroom lawyers will be laid off. We have 1 assistant prosecutor in each of the 5 courtrooms. They would be laid off. And what we would need to do there then is we would need, on every case that we indict, would go to the judge and ask that a special prosecutor be appointed for each and every case. Now, we've been averaging probably close to 2,000 cases a year. So you don't have to be a math wizard. That's going to be a very costly venture if we have to get a prosecutor appointed to every case. This will probably double, maybe even triple what the laid-off prosecutors would be paid plus the benefits. Plus, it would be a nightmare to facilitate and get with the members of the bar to see who would be willing to handle these cases, who would be competent, trained properly to handle these cases. These are felonies. These aren't speeding charges or anything like that. We're talking very serious crimes, and we're going to need to get some very experienced people to do this. I have had some preliminary discussions with the judges, and it's something that we would really have to sit down and talk about. Also, these special prosecutors will get paid by the hour. There's no salary. They get paid by the hour, and it's going to be up to, I would assume, the judges to get a hourly figure there. But also, right now our prosecutors do not get paid overtime. Many of them stay late at night to wait for verdicts, meet with witnesses or police officers, go out to a police station because an officer works midnights and you got to interview him during that time because he sleeps during the day. A lot of things we do that we don't pay overtime. Special prosecutors will be charging per hour for all these extra duties there. Juvenile division, we will lay off, I think, 3 there. We will only have the chief of the division plus maybe a part-time assistant prosecutor. We handle approximately 7,000 cases in juvenile court. And I don't need to tell you what we need to do there also. We'll be asking for special prosecutors for those cases. We're seeing more and more serious type cases with juveniles. Like I just reading the paper, they're committing some serious crimes and they need to be prosecuted. So there again, that's another 1 person, 1.5 people, assistant prosecutors cannot handle 7,000 cases. We're going to need some assistance there. The appellate division, we'll probably have to lay off 2 of the 3 that we have there. Again, we will be requesting the Court of Appeals to appoint special prosecutors. There's a provisional law that allows them to do so, to appoint a prosecutor to handle the briefing of the case. We handle hundreds and hundreds of appeals. It seems like most of the criminal cases are appealed for one reason or another. We have to do that work. And the appellate section, they are constantly researching and looking and working on their briefs. So again, this is going to be a very costly position there. Civil division, we will be down 2 assistant prosecutors. They're getting pretty strained right now. We might need to request appointment of outside counsel for certain cases. I know that the Ziegler case, if we would have requested that we didn't want to represent the county in any case and ask for outside counsel, you can see what we paid Mr. Ziegler's attorneys. We probably would have paid triple that for the work that we would have requested, but we were able to handle that. This year, if something happens like that, I don't see how my staff can do that. So, I mean, it's sort of, this is something, if you're requesting us to do, we got to do, but I think it's, basically we're saving money by asking you to fund us at our 2011 level. Keep us the way we are. Actually, we really need the 2000 level. We're really missing the 12 to 13 people that we laid off, but we understand this year is different, and I guess we'll be making that argument next year, later this year, regarding the laid off people from 2010. I just think a 23% cut in my office is sending a very bad message to the public that we just passed a criminal justice sales tax. From my understanding, the Public Defender's Office will be fully funded again in 2002, as well as they were in 2011. But if my office gets a 23% cut, that's going to be close to a 40% cut that my office received over the last 2 years. And I think given the message to the public that, okay, the criminals are protected by giving them good legal representation, but I guess to heck with the victims of crime, and also the community as a whole. Because we talk with the police agencies, we advise them. It's going to be very important we continue the communication with them to help fight the crime situation here in Stark County. Also, I have not talked to law enforcement or victims' rights groups as of yet, but I know law enforcement agencies are going to be pretty livid if we cut the way we're going to cut here. And I think you have to look at that in that law enforcement was very instrumental in helping us getting the sales tax passed. It was passed, and they feel that things should go back to normal here. So it's going to be hard for them to understand if we can't do what we're doing right now. Help them with their search warrants, help them with all their calls they make at all times of the day and night. And weekends and things like that, hey, we no longer can do that. It's going to be a very hard sell to them. They're not going to be too happy. And also, it's going to be very tough telling them, okay, for 2012, don't make any felony arrests because we can't prosecute. I think that's a wrong message, and we just can't do that. Also, the funding, I read where the funding of the jail is going to go back to the 2010 level. It's nice to have the jail filled up, but if you don't have the prosecutor to prosecute the people in there on a timely basis, you sort of question whether that's the right thing to do or not. I understand the situation here, but my office has statutory obligations to the community, to the courts, to law enforcement, and we have to do that. And if we have to lay off people, those are the measures that I'm going to have to take. And if you sit down and look at it, depending on what the judges are going to order per hour, it's really going to be a lot cheaper to keep us at our 2011 level than to do what we're proposing here. Any questions?
How many years have you been prosecuting?
It's 2003.
Do you understand the general fund budget? Just tell me, if we don't make the cuts, because again, we're talking about being required to make cuts across the board to meet that goal of $46.7 million, which is the projected amount. We're hopeful that we go over that, by the way, and if we get more revenue than that, with carryover and so forth, we're going to try to help out the different people that have the largest needs, such as your office. We've discussed that. But if we don't get to that point, if we have to stay at that $46.7 million, and if you're saying that your office shouldn't take 23% cuts, where do we make it up?
Well, that's your job.
It's just a practical, yeah.
If you want me to come look at your numbers, I'll come look at the numbers and I'll try to find somewhere. But I think that's your job. My job is to perform my statutory duties.
But it's everybody's job to perform the statutory duties.
Right. But, well, you tell me, how can we prosecute cases without prosecutors?
Well, the same as it's my job, by the way, I won't have to, it's not my job to look in your office to how you would, make your cuts or not make your cuts.
And I'm telling you, this is the
Yeah.
only way I can do it. I run my office. I've asked you, commissioners, to come look at the operation of my office, and you have not come up, and I was willing to show you what we do, and sit down with you and tell you what our obligations are. And we have obligations to prosecute felonies. And if I have to lay off the 10 to 12 prosecutors, the courts aren't going to be happy, and they're going to do what we need to do.
How many total prosecutors, since you told us who you're going to lay off and where you're going to lay off, how many do you have remaining? How many lawyers are there? Lawyers, prosecutors are there in the office?
Yeah, 28, correct. 28. But also, you have most of those that are remaining under grants that restrict them to only handle certain cases, such as the domestic violence prosecutor can only handle domestic violence cases. The people under the child...
How many domestic violence prosecutors are there?
One. The child abuse prosecution, we have 2.5, 2 in the adult court, half in the family court, and they're only allowed to handle child abuse cases according to our contract. And the other ones can't. Our DTAC attorney, of course, can only handle tax foreclosures.
John, you said 28 attorneys. You would reduce that 28 by 10 or 12?
Right.
Okay. And what was the highest number of attorneys you've had through the years?
Jan, I think it's been pretty close to the 28, maybe 30. It's mostly the support staff that we said, okay, we can do without. We have our attorneys do the typing, journal typing. They're all their own, going out and interview witnesses because we don't have an investigator, picking up witnesses and bringing them to court. There's a lot of things that they're carrying the ball on, and we're just saying we can't do any further with a 23% cut. It's drastic. I mean, my office is not a seasonal office. It's not busy once, twice, 3 times a year. It's busy every day of the year.
So with 28 attorneys, you currently still have 26 support staff. I'm just looking at the 54 number in 2011.
Yeah, and that would probably include our victim witness division, some interns that we scurry up from colleges that help out.
We have 13 secretaries that support the different divisions. Victim witness has no secretaries, but they have a staff of 7, and they are all on grants on one medium or another, depending on which project that they're on. So of those, if you're doing the math of the 28 minus 12, you got 20, you said 16. No, we've got 13 and 7, so 20 other people that are not attorneys, and then a couple admin.
And 6 admin.
Right. No, 2 interns and 3 admin.
I have a couple questions about the sheet. And I will admit I'm confused.
Okay.
First of all, I don't understand what significance does 1031 of 10 and 12? Why did we...
Tell me what you're asking, just so I can follow.
I can answer that question.
Okay, I'm looking up here, year to date for 1031 of 11 and 10. And I mean, why would we...
In